By the way, one guest that's coming up here today, our first guest, happened to go ahead and talk. Listen, I got to give credit, just like I did with Big Boy yesterday. I got to give credit where credit's due, man. He was sitting and he was talking about this the entire time. Um, Richard Hart's here. Richard, how's it going, man? How's everything on your side, man?
Twitter Spaces kind of sucks, mate.
It's I had to restart the room. It would not let me open up. It like locked the other room, which
I had
sucks.
to reboot the
Uh,
phone.
Ridiculous, man. What I hope somebody comes out and like really makes a really good platform in terms of speaking, a speaking platform.
No, I left a room with 12,000 people in it to join your 100-person room, so let's make it good.
I love you, Richard. Richard, listen. Uh, the reason why, like, so I started these spaces now because I'm tired of hearing people go up and get softball. That's boring, and I'm sure you think that's boring as well. Just starting off quickly, you sat and you continue to scream daily about things going down, things not surviving.
True. That's true. I
You
said
feel vindicated now?
I mean, I want my price targets to hit as well. So I called the Bitcoin top on the day over a year and a half ago. I told you not your keys, not your coins. Don't pick up pennies in front of freight trains. Take your money out of Celsius. Take your money out of BlockFi. Take your money off exchanges. The people that listened that were saved, people that didn't listen are ultra wrecked and super mad about it. So when I post videos of me spending 30, 40K per shopping trip at Prada, Louis Vuitton, you name it, they get really butthurt. They really get really mad. But what they don't realize is when you're a winner and you do things right, you get to live a rich person life. When you're a loser, you get things wrong, you get to stay wrecked. A lot of these guys are perma-wrecked because they didn't have the brain to listen to the free advice I was giving. So every 4 years, Bitcoin goes down 85%. 85% dump is 10,350. So I say 11K and pray and hope that all this extra leverage and all this extra US dollar getting more expensive for the first time in 20 years, doesn't make it go farther. So it hasn't even hit that target yet, right? It's still like 16K, something like that. Well, 16K is a lot more than 10K. So I want to see it hit my target. And same for Ethereum. I'd like to see a 95% drop in Ethereum. That'd be nice. I think it'd bring you to $250. That ought to really make some people sad. But who knows? Maybe 500 is okay too. Let's see.
If it stops here, are you okay with it?
No, not.
Why,
Let's do the math.
Are you
Ready?
you want to be greedy? You want to acquire?
It's not about greed. It's about buying a good solid bottom and not buying the dip that keeps dipping. So what more Bitcoin things have to get resolved? $1 billion that just got seized from the Silk Road hacker.
Yeah.
$2 billion that got seized from the Finex hacker. $1 billion or $2 or $3 of Plus Coin that the Plus Coin Ponzi in China seized. The Mt. Gox 140,000 coins. I don't know how many dollars that is anymore. What is that? 2 billion? It's not billions, mate. And Sailor took on leverage. Let's see him get liquidated too. Yeah, liquidate all the idiots. And then you've got, the price is where it is now without any of that stuff being sold. What happens when that stuff gets sold? So
you think Taylor's going to get liquidated?
I think that he will have to keep adding margin to his position as it goes down. Whether his margin enough to have him sell all of what he had, it probably wasn't. So he'll probably just be hurt financially very heavily, but he probably won't lose his entire stack. He'll just probably lose a decent portion of it. But a guy that buys the top that hard and keeps adding the whole way down kind of deserves to lose his whole stack. So,
did you see, sitting back and observing this entire industry, did you see FTX happening?
Dude, it happens every single time, man. Like, I tweeted about it. I'm like, look, this guy he's a trader. He runs a trading desk. He liquidates people for a living. Who do you think's on the other side of his winning trades? Losing traders. You think he's here to save you? He's here to destroy you. He's advertising margin trading on e-gaming where kids watch. He's going to get kids addicted to get FOMO tarting and leverage trading, the most destructive thing that could ever happen to these people. So no, not a good person, not a good business model. Get everyone wrecked, not a good business model. So you're going to continue to see these things happen over and over again. Oh, look, some company from the Bahamas went bankrupt. Oh, really? Wow, I could never expected that. The Bahamian companies are just so strong normally. Retarded.
Yeah, but whose fault is that? Is that the SEC's fault because they didn't give clarity?
No. What the fuck does the SEC have to do with the Bahamas, bro?
Well, because like if they would have given people clarity to go ahead and build in the
Oh,
United
sure.
States and not
Yeah.
chase
If
everybody
they
off.
if they would stop creating these regulatory walls to make so the scum will serve. Yeah, true. I wish that they would be better, and then better companies might participate. Yeah. They
You
had to
don't think
lower
it
their.
was, you don't think it was a puppet though? Like can you like I'm looking at his
No.
pictures, like I'm looking at his pictures, him and Caroline, and I still can't imagine these two pulling something off like this. I'm not telling, I'm not saying, hey people, they're innocent. No, no, no. All I'm
Yeah.
saying is, you don't think there was they weren't puppets and there were people pulling things behind the scenes?
Nah, dude. I don't think so. I don't think so. Look, when you give idiots leverage, they kill themselves every time. So it doesn't matter how smart you are. You have leverage, you're getting blown up. That's how it works. Leverage equals blown up. I don't care who you are, what you think you know, or what advantages you have. Doesn't matter. They had their own coin, their own trading firm, their own fiat on ramps, their own prop desk. Didn't matter. Liquidated. They had every advantage you could possibly have. Didn't matter.
Why is the media protecting him so hard though? Because Madoff
Probably
was in
because the
handcuffs.
media is pro Democrat and he gave 50 plus mil to Democrats. My guess.
I think he
Maybe
gave.
it's
I think
maybe
he
it's
gave
because
money to
Caroline's
everybody though.
dad used to be the boss of Gensler. I don't know. So that's what the internet says. I haven't personally fact checked it, but seems like a weird one to make up otherwise.
Who's next? Like
Probably Nexo.
Gemini right now is experiencing outages. I hope they're not next. But
I
who
would
do you think
assume
is next?
Nexo would be next, probably. NEXO, probably.
You think so?
Well, why not? I mean, what? Like they offer yield. Okay, well, seems like every yield thing's going under. I don't have any other evidence. There's no evidence. You just told me to guess, so there's your guess.
Jesus Christ! What a time, man. Do you feel like I feel like the
I
bear
was right
market?
about everything. I'm happy. So like, go everyone. Go lose all your money. Help bring the price down. Thanks. Hit my price target. The people that are smart will go get rich in the next bull run. You guys can all watch from the sideline. Go get real jobs. Save up your money.
Hey, Richard, all these companies offering yield are going under. How's HEX able to hold up with your yield product during these conditions?
Well, I mean, the average stake length in HEX is 7 or 8 years. And so when people lock up, on average, they're locking up for a long time. And so these relatively short time frame perturbations don't really matter to hardcore Hexicans that have 5555 tattoos, which is 15 years. It's 5,555 days. So I bought the world's largest diamond, and it's 555.55 carats. And that's to honor and respect the Hexican cultural heritage. So, we also have perfect, flawless operation. We also have no employees. So the code just runs. You run it. You are the code. You inflate the supply yourself to generate your own rewards, just like a Bitcoin miner does. Except you don't have to blow up the environment as much to do it. So hex stakers are paid to hold the price up through reducing the supply, through destroying their coins, which we call staking. But really, the coins are destroyed. And then in Bitcoin, you're incentivized with inflation to destroy the environment. And then maybe 2/3 or 3/4 of the people destroy the environment less because they use renewable. And then, hopefully that using of the renewable doesn't starve it from other industries that would have used it and now has to use, crappier electricity. It's just stupid. Like, we know proof of stake works. So why are we blowing up the environment? No particularly good reason.
Why is there so much pushback on Hex, Rich? What's the
Well,
agenda?
people are mad. They're mad that they missed the 10,000x returns. They're mad that everything else failed all around us while we have perfect, flawless operation for 3 years. They're mad that I founded it, and I'm a better human being than they are, and I own more stuff than they do, and torque better than they do, and do better pull tricks than they do, and raise more money for charity, $27 million for charity raised, and write more free self-help books, t.me/scivive, and predict the prices better, and predict the failures better. Like, I'm just a better human being in every single way compared to anyone else in cryptocurrency. I'm the best human being in this industry. You're going to mention CZ? CZ, the 100x leverage CZ? The guy that got for 50 million, that one? No, he's not as good as me. How much he raised for charity? Not 27 million? Okay. I win. Who's next? I'm the best human being in this industry, and I have the best product, and we're winning. So eventually people will get it.
Speaking
I
of
bet
CZ,
your farts smell like roses too.
Nah, my farts smell nasty, dude. You should come smell one. I'll send you one in a bottle if you give me your address.
well, you guys can talk about that later. CZ trying to acquire during that time of the beginning of the collapse. CZ saying or tweeting out that he was going to, after doing his due diligence, going to take on FTX.
Tell him to go buy all the Grayscale, 50% off Grayscale Bitcoin. Go ahead, CZ. You got big pockets, bro.
But you don't think he ever had an intention to buy it, though?
I mean, I don't really care. Like, I don't care whether CZ buys out someone else's bad debt or not. What do I care? I prefer to get a better deal. I prefer everyone sell the bottom. I prefer the U.S. government sell the bottom. I prefer China sell the bottom. I prefer everyone get liquidated at the bottom. Sell the bottom, all you idiots that couldn't listen. Get bye-bye. Bye-bye. You don't get to be on the next bull run. Okay. But the winners, we get to be.
And the next bull run, what are your predictions?
I think Bitcoin's going to be pretty limp. I mean, maybe you get 100K out of it. Maybe you get another 3X. Cool. I think Ethereum's going to flip it. So, I don't know. Maybe from the bottom, you could get another 50, 60X, maybe. And then something like HEX. Look, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't, these are just guesses. I'm pulling on my butt. But historically, my guesses have been pretty sick. I think HEX is going to outperform by leaps and bounds everything else because it's just so much easier to go up. So, you take $100 million, you buy HEX, the price goes up many multiples. Ethereum doesn't go up any multiple. Bitcoin doesn't go up any multiple. They're just too heavy. They get too many users. It's got too much liquidity. So liquidity is the enemy on the top side. On the sell side, liquidity is the friend on the bid side.
I'll let the audience ask questions. Go for it, Maddie, if you had a question, Steven or James.
Yeah, why are you guys spreading FUD? I mean, Gemini's out there saying they had a server error. Is every server error now a liquidity issue?
I mean, so I'll give you some counter FUD. I think the guys most terrified of being fractionally reserved are guys with bit licenses. And Gemini has a bit license. But I also personally know people that can't get their money off Gemini. So on the one hand, sure, they're probably under the most strict regulatory regime in the entire universe. But on the other hand, who cares? I know people that can't get their money off. So now what? You know what I'm saying?
How long have they been trying to get their money off?
I don't know, a few months.
Well, forget about that.
Well, if you can bring one up, I'd like to speak with them because I've had withdrawals from Gemini within the last few months. Never had an issue with them.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, that anecdote's really strong.
Well, Maddie, if you didn't see
sample size of one
from the official account, they're experiencing Amazon Web Services issues. So,
well, let me put it this way.
Yeah, that's a site outage. That's not a liquidity issue. You guys are out here like the platform's about to go down.
I have absolutely no evidence that Gemini has any liquidity issues at all.
Hold on. What does it say? Gemini experiencing outages.
The website is, yeah. It's an Amazon service, web hosting.
Maddie, that's the title.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't remember hearing anyone on here say that Gemini had liquidity problems. I didn't hear anyone here say that. I didn't say it. I don't know anyone. I didn't hear anyone say it. I think only you said it. Maybe you should stop fudding.
Oh, maybe I should then. I'm sorry if I misheard you. That's my fault.
It's all good.
No. I don't think anybody in this room ever said Gemini.
But let me ask you a question.
We hope Gemini don't.
Why on earth would you take the chance? Why on earth would you take the chance? They promoted a failed product to their users. They promoted something to their users that just got their users wrecked. Their users can't withdraw from their partner in the Earn program. So they fucked their users. So why would you take a chance? Why would you risk your stack to find out? Remove your money. It's that easy.
Well, I know plenty of people who got burned on HEX as well, my friend. So maybe you should tread
Yeah,
lightly
but there's
there.
shit you can't price volatility is not something you can program out of a speculative instrument. I know people that got wrecked on Facebook. I got people that got wrecked on Amazon. Speculative instruments have price volatility. You can't program that away. 100% perfect flawless operation with 100% uptime is what HEX has. And guess what? It's not what Gemini has. We're at 100% uptime. Gemini isn't. Our shit works perfectly for 3 years, and no one else's does.
Well,
It's
Gemini
indisputable.
has segregated client accounts, and that's enforced by the tightest regulation in the world.
Yes, yes, I know, but you're repeating me to me. The bit license is very strict. I know, which is why so few companies have them.
Right. So one thing that
Do you
I've been
have
wondering
stock
about
in
HEX,
Gemini or some shit, or did you suck the Wicklevi off in your weekends, or like what's the deal? Why do you like these guys so much? They're just another shit exchange with no liquidity.
Please watch your language.
No, fuck you. I'll use whatever language I want. Suck my balls, kid. I'm an adult. I'll speak however I like.
You're speaking like a
Who do you
scam
think
artist.
you are? Who do you think you are to control my language?
All right. So let me explain something about HEX for all that are listening, because people are already DMing me going, who is this Richard Hart fuck? It's very simple. HEX is a Ponzi scheme. It's a very clear and blatant Ponzi scheme. They've basically advertised outrageous percentage gains promised to their users without any sort of disclaimer.
That's completely false. That's completely false, guys. Don't listen to
I've
this guy.
seen them, dude.
Don't listen to this
lie.
guy. Don't listen to this guy.
Don't fucking lie,
are you
dude.
serious?
I've seen them
Are you serious?
on black cabs in London, dude, with my own eyes.
Every single user that uses its own seed phrase interacts with a contract that no one owns, no admin keys, and we generate our own yield off of.
I'm talking about the advertisement.
No one actually
Gain promised to users. This is a red flag.
Please be quiet.
You cannot promise 5,000% gains to a user. They're not
promising 5,000 gains.
I've seen it. Don't fucking lie to me. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Stop.
Advertisements that say buy HEX and get 5,000% gains on black cabs in London.
Hey, one at a time. One at a time. One at a time. This is not the Royal Rumble, man.
No, but
I'm
like, hey, can I tell you what the black cabs?
No, let me speak for 10 seconds, and then you can say whatever the fuck you want, because you're dirty fucking mouth already.
You're lying.
Really?
You could calculate your own APY dependent on how many people or supply is dependent on how much their supply currently. So
Ponzi-nomics, dude. Ponzi-nomics. You use money from the new people to pay off the old people. That's how Ponzi's work, asshole.
Money from everyone else. Then you have to call Bitcoin a Ponzi. You have to call your housing market a Ponzi.
No. Bitcoin is an asset.
All right. You know, I invited Richard here to go ahead and speak about the markets. Richard, go ahead and take the mic, and then Maddie, if you want to have a rebuttal, go for it. There's not, again, I'm not, Roman Reigns and John Cena is not here. I'm gonna let everybody talk, but we're not doing this Royal Rumble shit.
Yes, quite simply, if I remember, and it is on the homepage of hex.com, there were advertisements on taxi cabs in London that said HEX is up, I think it was 1,100% or 11,000%. And you want to know what happened after those ads? The price went up another 100x. So this guy flapping his lips here about how unrealistic the ads were and how wrong the ads were is wildly wrong based on math. HEX went up 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%, not including its staking rewards. And do you know where all that money came from? Do you know where all that profit came from? The same place Bitcoin miners' profit came from, inflation. Bitcoin miners inflate the supply to blow up the environment. HEX stakers inflate the supply to support the price. It's just Bitcoin with a proof of work change. It has a very low inflation rate. It has a maximum 3.69% inflation rate, whereas Bitcoin had a 3.89% inflation rate on its way to $20,000. And it was exponentially higher in the past. As a matter of fact, many people don't know this, the best time to buy Bitcoin was when Satoshi owned 100% of the supply, when it was called a scam by everyone, when there was no liquidity, where there was no place to buy it, and when the inflation rate was the highest. It had a 10,000% annualized inflation rate very early on, because that's what happens when you go from no coins to 50 coins to 100 coins. To 150 to 200. There used to be 50 Bitcoin block rewards back then, back when I used to mine it when it was 50 cents and it was free. As a matter of fact, it was so free, you didn't even have to include a transaction fee. People would just include your transactions for free. No one cared. Didn't even have a price back then. So I invented something that we need in cryptocurrency, which is time deposits. Bitcoin tried to be a currency, failed. HEX tries to be a time deposit, but it's not like a real time deposit. A real time deposit doesn't pay you more when other people end stake. A time deposit doesn't pay you more when other people lie about their stake and end it before they should have. But in this system, it does. And by the way, when people complain about 40% APY gains, guess what? That's the APY in HEX. The actual APY was millions of percent because it was a 1,000,000% USD gain times your APY. So when I hear people complain about the 40% APY, I think it's really funny because depending on how long you staked and when you get in and when you get out, it could have been 1.5 million%. So all it is Bitcoin with a proof of work change. It's been operating flawlessly for 3 years. It has less negative externalities. It was given away for free to Bitcoin holders. And while everything else has failed all around us, it's operated perfectly, flawlessly, wonderfully. And guess what? These type of gains, these, insane gains, they're very similar to what Bitcoin did. They're very similar to what Ethereum did. They're very similar to what BNB did. They're very similar to what Dogecoin did. They're very similar to what Litecoin did. These types of gains and performance we've seen over and over and over again. And guess what? They don't need to be Ponzi's. For a Ponzi to exist, you have to have a middleman that controls who gets paid. He makes a promise that he's going to pay you based on a profitable business, and he lies. He doesn't have a profitable business. And so what he does is he takes money from new guys and gives it to old guys. In HEX, it's the opposite. In HEX, when you mint your inflation, you're just minting stuff that's not money. And it's only money if you use the fruits of your own labor to generate something, to offer for sale on the market, to dilute all the other things that previously existed. It's just like mining Bitcoin. So I don't understand the claim to Ponzi. I don't understand the claim to bubble. We're still up 60,000%. Yes, we're down 95%, but still up 60,000%. Because when you go up 10,000x, going down 20x, which is a 95% drop, doesn't cancel the 10,000x. And so I invented the thing that we need in finance to monetize time, the thing that puts people in control of their own keys, the thing that removes counterparty risk, the thing where you mint your own rewards, you hold your own keys. There are no middlemen. No one can screw reports. And then people yell at me, and I think it's hilarious.
I only yelled at you because you used some very foul language. I'm sorry.
It's not foul, it's fun. You just need to upgrade your adultness.
No, telling somebody to suck off somebody else it's not funny. It's just you trying to get under my skin on purpose.
I've watched a lot of comedy shows, and I'm telling you, it is funny.
My turn for rebuttal. I was very quiet while you spoke, please. As a licensed portfolio manager, somebody who's holding a SISIC advanced examination, which allows me to trade clients' funds. Basically, you need to use a disclaimer. When you have a advertisement that says how much gains were gained in the past, it says past performance.
It's literally written on the advertisement. That is literally written in the advertisement. It is literally.
You keep interrupting me. That's not okay. I sat there for 3 minutes and listened to your BS.
No, but it's on hex.com. I can see the disclaimer. I've seen the ad.
Please.
It says past performance is no indicator of future performance, and you could lose all your money or something to that.
You are a
effect.
liar. You are a liar because your website never said this. I went through your website up and down, did not see a single disclaimer. I went through the advertisements in The Economist and on the taxi cab. There was no disclaimer.
The Economist ads were there too, bro.
But you know what? I'm not.
You're lying.
I'm not here to disclaimer. Okay. I'm going to compare yourself to Bitcoin. I could take a Bitcoin and send it to anyone, anywhere in the world. They can accept it and easily transfer it into money. Not the same with HEX. You know what?
Oh yeah. Really? You're lying again. You turn it into Ethereum on Uniswap with no middlemen.
Yo, what are you talking about? It's actually more trustless because Bitcoin, the only way you could do it is someone else has to buy it on the other side because Bitcoin actually doesn't even have the same liquidity. If you want to sell your money right now, you could go without no one else telling you what to do and you get it. There's liquidity pools for that on Uniswap, all these things. What are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, and no disclaimer thing just drives me wild because I give the most disclaimers. I'm the guy that tells you all crypto drops 85%. I'm the guy that tells you that it could go to zero. You literally click the disclaimer on the site. It says you're lucky the stuff.
I have better things to do than argue with scammers all day. Everybody in this room understand that this is a Ponzi scheme.
Dude, we don't have. Dude,
All right,
we
have a
have
good day.
no
Bye bye.
we have no liability to actually like what are you talking about? This guy said that someone went and said his opinion, said Hex is up this. It's actual facts. You can go check on the chart. He's not lying. He's saying it. Hex.com didn't put that. We did that. We did the NASCAR. We did everything. Richard himself went and got the diamond, which got, by the way, good job, Richard. $4.2 million for international press forever. Good job. People
Thanks.
actually downplay that like crazy, like crazy. And then this guy comes, oh, can't put that. You have to put a disclaimer. How do you? Why should an individual, off their opinion, put a disclaimer when they have no ties to the what?
Yeah,
company?
but there's disclaimers all over the place anyway. The site is riddled with disclaimers.
Like please, like I'm sorry to interrupt, but like this, it doesn't make sense. It really, I'm fed up with this.
No,
like,
I think he was a little bit mad because he came up here and he started accusing people of saying that we said that what you call it, Gemini's going down. No, it's just like they're experiencing outages. It's the truth. They sent out the letters
100%.
themselves.
100%.
Nobody
Right.
said.
I bet you that guy just got wrecked on FTX, bro. He's super tilted.
It's Max Payne. They haven't gone through it yet. It's Max Payne.
It seems to me he came
Hey,
up
Richard.
here making a bad faith argument, a straw man argument essentially about Gemini, and went right into other straw man arguments against Hex. Anyway, Richard, what is, if you had to pick one thing that people misunderstand about Hex the most, that you would like to address, what would that be?
Oh, dude, we get these all the time. People hear the 7-year lock and they're like, "What's going to happen in 7 years, bro?" And you're like, "Well, during that time after now, people keep staking, and actually, from our analysis, they keep staking longer and longer." I used to brag about when it was 4 years. Now I'm bragging about it being 7 and 8 years. The average stake length seems to keep going up. The share price keeps going up. It's amazing. Like it's. But they don't get it. They understand it backwards. He just said it's harder to like divest from. There's nothing easier to divest from without changing chains, without using bridges, without using middlemen. You can de-risk from Hex into USDC or DAI or TUSD or USDT or whatever you want with no counterparty risk, no middlemen on the most liquid market for the product with the absolute minimum counterparty risk possible. And the least spoofing and the least fees. Like, it's just amazing. And then he literally says the opposite to my face in all seriousness. He's like, "You can't sell it, bro." You're like, "Really? That's funny. How do you think the price got down 95%? People selling it. Like, how do you think people bought all these Lambos? People selling it. Like, the things this person says don't make any sense in the real world. You can go to the website and read all the disclaimers now. It's covered in disclaimers. You can go click the taxi ad and read the disclaimer.
There's actually a newspaper that was pulled up just now, and there is a disclaimer that says values go up and down often. Past performance doesn't guarantee future performance. Your capital is at risk. Unregulated product with no investor protections.
Thank you. Yes, that sounds like the disclaimer from the Economist ad. So I just, when a person comes up so mad and says everything the opposite of what is true, it drives me wild. Drives me wild. It's crazy to me. I don't get it. Because it's so easy to disprove. You say it doesn't have a disclaimer, I got the picture on the site. Go click the disclaimer link at the bottom of the page. It says you're lucky this stuff works at all. It can go to zero. Solar flare can knock it all down. Block software is hard. Blockchain software is harder. Like, you can't get more disclaimers. I'm the guy that tells you crypto drops 85% all the time. Anybody else tell you that? No, it's me. So, like, it's tragic. You know, maybe he'll just lose all his money and sell the bottom. I'll be all right with that. But unfortunately, because he's a registered financial loser, he's going to lose other people's monies too. He probably already has. Guess what? I'm not a registered financial anything, and I haven't lost anybody's money, so go me. Hey, you want to know how much hurt I got in these exchange things? I have no money in FTX. I have no money in BlockFi. I have no money in Celsius. Go me. It's hilarious to me, dude.
Anybody has a normal question for Richard?
Yeah, Richard. As an OG in this space, one of the theories was over time Bitcoin would reduce, right? So we had a 95% drawdown first cycle, 85 the second. We're at 79 right now. And the last cycle we had major pumps, right? 7 to 14K, 100% pumps. This one we had a pretty weak one from 35 to 50, which represents 50% pump. So just wondering, what are your thoughts on volatility decreasing over time?
Yeah, it's limp dick dead weak gains forever now. Everybody already knows about it. You're the last guy in. You ain't new. You're not an early adopter. It's 13 years old. Bitcoin's never going to have mad gains again. Never, 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 never. And by the way, you know who you're making rich? The bankers, the venture capitalists, the governments. You're not making the people rich. You know who doesn't have much HEX? Venture capitalists, governments, Bitfinex hackers, Silk Road hackers, Plus Token China seizure. Nope, they ain't got no HEX. And they probably don't have any Pulse Chain. So it's like we're winning the game in every way the game can be won. Bitcoin dropped 75, more now. You told me 79. Cool. Ethereum dropped 85. Maybe it's more now, but it's probably still 85. And then HEX dropped 95, but it's been paying interest the whole time. Awesome. It's great. Couldn't be happier. Well, I could be happier when my price targets get hit.
Trillion X, what's going on? My question.
Hey, brother. Yeah, I just want to say, like, straw men are bad, but middlemen are worse. And that's exactly the example you're seeing here, because their products are shot. Let's ask him how much money he made for his investors, because guess what? They don't get paid on performance. They get paid on their assets under management. So, of course, when you got somebody like Richard coming up saying you don't need any of these middlemen, you could do this yourself, cut them out of the loop, and keep the money for yourself, decide what you want to do. Of course, they're going to have a problem with that. I don't see how nobody else sees it. Guys, this is the middlemen revolt. We don't need those guys. They haven't done shit for us, and their products are lame. And now it's a different time. You can do this stuff all on your own. You don't need that anymore. So yeah, they're gonna say every nasty imaginable thing they can about their competition. That's all it is.
Yeah, like we are the shining city on the hill. All of our trading is on chain. All of our liquidity is on chain. The history of everybody's trades on chain. Uptime, 100%. Multiple front ends, multiple like teams that built them. Totally decentralized. Totally.
You want
So, like,
you want disclosure? Sorry, Richard.
Go ahead.
This whole thing is coming down to disclosure, guys. Nothing on the blockchain has the type of disclosure standards that heck you can literally go and look at every transaction, who's doing it, wallet to wallet, trace it through. You know what they asked CZ Binance about this the other day? They said if decentralized exchanges have this great innovation where you can audit, you can go through, it's all traceable. Why don't you do that in Binance? And he made this argument against privacy. It's a privacy concern for him, right? So he wants to know everything that you're doing. We're going to find out that I'm sure they were front running their own customers. I'm sure they were selling order flow, the exact same MO that Robinhood had. We're going to find all this stuff out because guess whose privacy they're not concerned about? Yours.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so weird to me. Like, we do everything better, and then everyone says the literal opposite to me, and it makes me sad. It's like, oh, Richard, you've got volatility in your thing. Yeah, mostly volatile to the upside. So, like, yeah, people prefer that. Anyway, I got to go, man. I'll see you later,
Thank you,
guys.
Richard. I appreciate
Thanks,
it, man.
Richard.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck broke out here while we are on here. I brought Richard here to go ahead and talk about the markets.
No, I'm
Maddie-
sorry, David. The guy was talking so many lies. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, man? It's not fair when people completely have no clue what they're talking about. And
No.
when it comes to that, it's like, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry
No, I
for
just-
outraging, but like I'm fed
I
up
get
of
it.
Richard always defending himself. It's like, why is it that people just are so uninformed? You know what I mean? So I think the question is that if people would understand us better, look into it, DYOR better into what actually Hex does and provides, they get jealous and mad hurt because they're not in it. So yeah, I think the focus is on what's happening with the market and what's the solution. The solution is taking hold of the power of what we need, right? Bitcoin allows you to do that, but sadly at this moment in time, because of that own a chance to become 51%, they figured out a way to take it, and Hex has figured out a way for us to not have to worry about that. Yeah, I would really suggest you look into it, man. It's really wonderful. It's really wonderful.
And David, I want to give you props real quick. I know James, brother, just real quick. I want to give you props, bro, because look, you can see this contrast between even what you're trying to do and what Mario's room is doing, right? Like you can see it in the viewers, you can see it in the listeners. What's the difference between what you're doing and Mario?
Well, I don't. This question keeps on popping up for the last 2 to 3 days, and I'm trying to be humble and say that I give everybody. Well, G Media in general gives everybody an opportunity to speak. I'm invested into Hex, but
You're
I'm
not
not going to make a.
you're not shilling for pay.
Nah, I'm not. I don't do that.
See, that's the difference. But you see how the energy completely changes. Like this is how you know that something's up. You know, like you get 30,000 people. They're paying people to get on there and give them information. They said it themselves that they'll have one guest on if they could bring on somebody else. You start to get this whole chain of bullshit. And when you do it organically, okay, it's a little bit slower, but bro, you're gonna blast off, man. I just want to give you props and thank you, bro.
I appreciate it. No, I want a community. I want the community to have a space where like we can really, if people have information on something, it does help Gakshi Media to go ahead and perform better because like if we can get real, real intelligence and real information about a certain subject, we can accurately report something which benefits the entire community. And also like I'm not one to like I don't have Hex, right? But I'm not going to shit on a project because I don't have it. I'm not going to listen to somebody tell me that Hex is a Ponzi scheme or this, that, and the third. I'm going to do my own research and I'm going to come to that conclusion, whether it is or not. Like, I'm not going to have people tell me. And that goes for Bitcoin, everything, just anything in this space. I'm not going to let people tell me. I'll do my due diligence. And as should everybody else. I speak to a lot of people from the Hex community all the time. And, I haven't met anybody who's been super aggressive. If anything, the Hex community has always tried to go ahead and ask me, hey, do you need anything to go ahead and educate yourself on Hex? Appreciate that. I have other communities that just rip me apart. But it is what it is. Like, just if you guys are in Hex and you believe, and I know you guys believe in it hardcore, God bless, man. You guys found something that you believe in, and who am I to tell you not to stay in it? If you guys are making the gains that you're talking about, bless.
Beyond, way
It's like,
beyond the gains. Way
yeah,
to
man,
go, famous.
the project, we could put it side by side in comparison. And I've been in this space for a very long time, and I've dabbled in a lot of projects, especially in the DeFi space. You can name it, Aave to like anything on Cake. I've done anything on Curve. And I've tried it in order to be able to have these conversations. And when you compare it side by side to Hex, it's like it just has all the green check marks. It's like it's not even to sweet coat it or put the cherry on top. It's just like, if you want to call a spade, it's actually there. You have to do the comparisons. No admin keys, actually trustless. You don't you make your own yield off of what's generated. If no one stakes, then there's no inflation. If everyone stakes, it's 3.69% APY. And it's impossible to have every single, all the coins stake. But like there's mathematical calculations that you could calculate everything. If it's whether it's the EES, which is the penalties for early staking, you could calculate that. How much is the APY going to be dependent on how many coins are in staking? You have this information. You have so many good tools that unfortunately the closed-minded small individual who's trying to become that investor but really isn't, they don't understand even how to use it. But when you look at the system and you're like, I have all of these tools and all of these tools are backed on chain, right? Because the beauty of Etherscan, of Ethereum, is that everything's there. Yeah, it has its problems, but when you need to look for something, it's there. On other platforms like exchanges, you try and figure something else. You always need to have a trust with someone, and that's what we're running away from, aren't we? So we're trying to take charge of our own stuff, and yet there's other projects too that do this, but they always have an admin key problem. They always have a problem with their liquidity. They always try and bridge assets to other places and create different things, and they try to like reach for the stars, like that Greek guy in the myths that went to the sun and his wings melted. They always try and do that. Always, 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 and it's time after time. History repeats itself. Hitler did the same mistake as Napoleon. He tried to go question what happened. Like everything repeats itself, and it's sad because if people would just listen to us, it's like poor Richard. He's the only one who has a voice. But if we were to come up, like you and like Trillian said, I give you props for this because people could listen to the community. The community knows what we're saying. There's some very intelligent individuals that not only in the real life are very professional and successful, but they're intelligent individuals with good experience and far more vast experience. Like if you have any questions, ask me. I'll probably know what happened with that protocol and what's wrong with it, and then we could compare it on how Hex solves it. Now, Hex doesn't solve all the problems, but it solves that specific problem where it's you could get something without having to believe in someone. Like, why would you depend on someone to make money when you could do it yourself? It doesn't make sense. Isn't the saying, do it when you do something, it's better when you do it yourself? Like, That's how I was raised. So I just see that like crypto allows you to take charge of it, and then that's going to help billions of people.
Dude, the real beauty of HEX is
Let me
actually.
just clean it. Let me just get
Yeah, yeah.
Dow chemist, and then I'll get right back to you and Johnny.
I got to jump. Thanks so
You got to
much.
jump. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
I'll
see you
be
in the
back.
next space,
I
man.
got some alpha on Key Capital or Cheat Capital for you, bro. I'll drop it for you.
Drop it for me, definitely. On.
Thank you,
Hey,
brother.
just a quick update. The outages are over for Gemini. Gemini's back online.
Perfect.
However, the withdrawals are still paused.
Well, who cares then? Honestly, who cares? If the withdrawals are still paused, I mean, great, they're back online. What does that mean for their customers? Jack shit.
That just shows you what centralization is. That's why it's called a CEX, a centralized exchange. They could do what they want. That's what Uniswap, 1inch, Matcha.io, XYZ, sorry, not .io, Matcha.xyz, that's what they solve. This is what Pulse X solves. It's going to be a dApp from Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain is going to be a faster, more, it's just,
Wait, hold on. Can you pause for a second? I just
yeah.
want to say, I ask you a question about Pulse X, but just want to say, hey, David, hey, G Media, how's everybody doing?
What's going on?
I listened to Richard Hart. I think he's one of those guys that's really smart, but he tells the truth, and that's annoying. When he talks about inflation, a lot of BTC Maxi hate it because it kind of goes against the narrative. So I'm not saying that I root for him or anything like that, but I think a lot of people don't like him because he tells the truth. Is, hey, people care about inflation and they care about APRs and getting paid, and he creates a system that literally looks like a Ponzi, kind of have the Ponzi-nomics as it says, and people don't really understand that he's just telling the truth. Is that what people want? So he at least the project of HEX, in my opinion, right? I'm not an investor, but the token economics are interesting. As PH Moore was saying, like it's open source, anybody can look at the code, so it's fine. I don't see any issues with that. It's just not a project. Is it going to work? Who knows? At least it's transparent, and so to me, it's part of DeFi and this field of experimentation. So my question, real quick, for the Hex people on stage is: you can love Hex, but not necessarily love Pulse. And the reason I say that is because if you're trying to make a copy of a blockchain, you can't just copy the protocols. You also have to copy the team that's building and maintaining those protocols. And so my question, well, I guess there's two questions. First is, what's the incentive of any of those, the Aves, Uniswap, or even the Circle, who owns USDC, to maintain on this chain that it's fundamentally not doing anything different than what Ethereum is doing? And the second question to that is, have you seen any adoption? Have you seen any of those protocols actually moving onto Pulse chains?
For the last question, have we seen any protocols? There have been. So there's been talks with certain protocols on like the oracles on, I think it's the name is Trello. Don't take my word for it. You can go and verify that information. But at the end of the day, really what it comes down to is I don't really agree with the how Pulse X is going to be bad or Pulse Chain is going to be bad for HEX. And I'll explain why. Because HEX is actually a contract, right? It's an ERC20. So when you actually do a system state fork of Ethereum, or when you copy it for your own purposes, right? There's been other people that have done that before this, where they keep the liquidity in place and give it to the users. So Binance actually sucked all the liquidity and generated their own tokens, their own BEP20s off of this. So that was the main problem before, because no one started with any liquidity. So you had to bridge in your assets. You obviously know this, but what it solves now, the fact that people are system state forking and giving people the assets, is you're getting not the same asset. Yes, okay, it's deployed by the same contract and so on and so forth. So technically it is the same coin, a copy, quote unquote, but it's not. It'll never be the same. You can never actually trade both of them. You would have to always wrap an asset or bring the asset from one end, right? Ethereum to Pulse. Like, let's give you an example, right? With HEX, you'll have Ethereum HEX and you'll have Pulse HEX. Now, those two coins can never actually touch each other. So they're never actually the same coin. So you can never actually profit off of the doubleness of it. You have to always go in a square fashion. So you have to take your Ethereum HEX, turn it into Pulse EHEX, and then you can trade your Pulse EHEX for PHEX. And the same thing the other side. So you got to take your PHEX, turn it into Ethereum PHEX, and then you could trade it for the Ethereum HEX. So it's not really a copy. USDC just has no way of being able to monitor how much money there is, because to them, when they bridge an asset to another side, it's part of their minting or algorithmic process. But if they find a way to say, okay, this is USDC as an ERC20, but they also have the option for you to acquire this coin, but it's not fair, and they don't allow this double copy. So if you go look at Ethereum Work and Ethereum Fair, like those two forks, yes, the actual transactional coin or the blockchain itself sucks. It is what it is. But the whole point of Hex works. The contract still works. If you have the keys,
hold on. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to make it very clear, right? I'm not saying that Pulse X as a project is bad. I'm saying, and I don't think anybody can disagree, layer 1 for Ethereum is the most secure layer that we have, right? Now, Pulse X is saying we're going to make a copy and it's faster because
it's not Pulse X, it's Pulse Chain. So Pulse X is the actual dApp that's made. So it's not going to copy Uniswap. It's not replacing Uniswap. Uniswap will still be there. What Pulse X is just let me finish this. Pulse X, for everyone that's listening, okay, this has never been done where the actual L1, the developers of the L1 have made the actual dApp. Like Uniswap is not made by Ethereum at the beginning.
That's not a good thing. See,
it is a very good thing. It is a very good thing. And I'll explain to you.
Hold on, let me finish. If you want layer 1 to be decentralized, right, which most of us want, you want different teams that are not consensus. They're not the Ethereum Foundation to build a value on top of your chain. So you want Uniswap to be from a different company. You want Aave.
Yeah, but there's no admin keys.
From different developers.
There's no admin keys. There's a DAO. So you as an individual control it.
The admin key is a detail. The general question, I'll let you finish on that, right? This is my question, right? So open-ended. Maybe you have the answer.
Yeah, of course. Go.
So I was saying that as far as layer 1s are concerned, right, Ethereum is the most secure in terms of smart contract layers, maybe not compared to Bitcoin. So Pulse Chain comes and say, we can do better than Ethereum in terms of scalability, right? At the very least, right? They're not, I maybe not saying in terms of security, but at least in terms of scalability. But now you're seeing that Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake, and you have layer 2s. What can you do on Pulse Chain that you can't already do in the Ethereum ecosystem, and especially when you have to recreate a lot of those applications? And it seems like it's the Pulse Chain team that's creating most of those dApps, as opposed to different teams coming onto Pulse Chain and say, hey, this is a cool ecosystem, and we want to build on top of it. Or existing applications on Ethereum or Solana say, hey, this is a cool ecosystem, let's build onto Pulse Chain.
Okay, so that was a very good question. The only the Pulse Chain team building chain and Pulse X. Anything else right now? If you could actually go, I actually made a website where it says accessible. It's crypto2 with a number 2 learn.com, and you can actually go and click the Pulse X dApp testnet, and you can go on testnet right now, and you can see that there's other projects building on Pulse Chain. It's a V2B testnet, probably V3. There's been teasers of it, but at the end of the day, the whole point is there are other projects building, projects that are taking concept of Aave that are building. They're building stable coins. They're building protocols that are not a layer 2 on top of Hex, but they're utilizing the power of the T-shares, where you can encapsulate it or create a pool, a massive pool, where you represent it by another token, and so on and so forth. That's a story for another day. But there are a lot of projects with different people. Maybe they're hexagons, maybe they're not, maybe they're, at the end of the day, most hexagons are Bitcoiners, Ethereum people that have been interacting with Uniswap, that have been on Binance Smart Chain like myself, on AVAX, on Phantom. I've been on Gate.io's thing, Hexo. You can name, forever, man. I've tried everything out. I've been on Tron. I've been in the days where Tether was on Bitcoin. Like you have to understand that like most hexagons are just, there's new ones like in every coin, but we understand this. And when you look at the what does it solve? It's just the Hex, the people from Hex are making Pulse Chain and Pulse X. Everything else that's coming from it is other people, man. There's going to be fiat on ramps. There's going to be bridges. There's going to be projects that allow NFT creation. They're forking OpenSea, whatever. There's so many people doing so many things. But obviously, if the people that are making the chain are being called scammers and being called bad developers, when actually in reality, you can go test our prototype. Our prototype is amazing.
Yeah, I get you. And my last question, because I see some hands up, right?
Okay, let's go to John.
Yeah.
I'll be with
question though, Kim.
Johnny's
So
had his hand up for a while. Go ahead.
yeah,
Hey,
I'll just be quick. It'll give me like
go
10
ahead.
seconds, right? So, because you give some good answers, right? My open-ended question, maybe you don't have an answer to that, but it would make sense to look at pulse chain if you see that Uniswap, Aave, and Compounds are saying this is a cool chain. We need to be on that. If you don't see
It's
them
their
moving
choice.
onto it, yeah,
It's
but
not
that's
our
my
choice.
point.
It's not our choice. Their whole contract, the whole contract, their contract is not changing. It's getting
I
copied.
got you.
It's
But you
literally
see, you,
their
you see how they're moving on to different chains. Like Aave is not just on Ethereum, right? They're seeing other layer twos or chains that they think is interesting, and they want to be there because they can provide service and they can grow their TVA, right?
But
So
it's their
if you
choice.
see,
It's not ours. We're copying
I
it for them.
that's my point. That's my point. If you see them choosing to move on to Polish chain, then
It's
they're
very
seeing something
bullish, right?
valuable. But if across all DeFi you don't see those protocols moving there, then you might start asking the question: is there value for Polish chain? That just open to any question.
100%. So it's not necessarily just for Aave, right? I don't think the whole Ethereum ecosystem is dependent on Aave. It's a very good protocol that right now, currently, with the the market cap and how much money and what DeFi is, it's a very, very good foundation for what it is, and it's holding it very well. But at the end of the day, there are like just as an example, right? There is a project currently, if you want to go check it out, fiat.io. It actually currently is taking Aave and it's on testnet, and you can go check this out. They're coming on Ethereum. So they're going to create competition. Maybe Aave is going to come on Pulse Chain due to that competition. I think so, because they're very intelligent people. We've talked to them. They've been part of their community members that are very intelligent. They've been here since way, way long time ago, and they're creating something that works. Aave works. I don't care what anyone says. Aave works tremendously, and it's wonderful for us. And if you do something well and you copy it well and you create competition, like Richard says, like the economy says, capitalism says, if you create competition, it will actually grow. So I think personally that team that is building on Pulse Chain, that has decided to maybe, and this is a maybe, right? I know I'm talking because this is what we've heard. They've spoken to us. They said they are probably going to put out on Ethereum if Pulse Chain doesn't come out sooner. If it takes time, they're going to probably come out on Ethereum. And there's going to be a product that you could do just like Aave. And now it gives competition, it gives choice, right? It's like wonderful when 1inch came in and Sushi Swap came in and all these good dexes came in after Uniswap, because you're able to provide liquidity in different places. You have options, and it's more decentralized. So I would really, you know what, man, just follow me, come in our spaces, and we could talk for longer and give the chance for other people to ask their questions. Because this we could go on for 4 or 5 hours, if you like, honestly. So follow me, and we can actually go and check that out.
Bro, I think you could go on for 4 or 5 hours. I don't doubt
But there's
that.
so much shit to say, Steven. It's
Yeah,
not even funny, man. It's
it
not
is
even
funny,
funny.
actually. No, it is funny. I'm just playing around with you though. Johnny, go ahead.
Thanks. So I'm not a sophisticated crypto person, pretty basic. Everyone says do your own research, do your own research. I don't even know what that necessarily means. Like, what are we supposed to do besides like look at the website or get a degree in coding? I don't know. So I go to a website, right? And I look at this hex.com and it immediately fails my sniff test, right? I'm not sophisticated. I just look at it. It's like pump, pump, pump. Like, look how much we're up. This is great. I'm like, oh yeah, scam, and I move on, right? So
I agree. I agree with you.
And I hear Richard talk, and I look at Richard's website. I'm like, yeah, this guy, what the looks like a tool. He's talking about his Rolexes and cars and his diamonds. Yeah, this guy's a scammer. Moving on. So what am I missing? Like I see this, and it immediately is like scam. There's a whole section. I'm like, no, we're not a scam. Like then I'm like, oh yeah, you're definitely a scam. So what am I missing here?
Well, if honestly, it's a shame. You're right. I don't like the website. A website, if you click on the links, it's 10 times better. That should be the front page where you have all the options to choose different aspects. If you want, like, if I were you, I'd go on hex.com/links and then check it out from there. Don't look at the front page. I don't really like it. I agree with you. Whatever. Richard in himself, it's the outraging marketing works, and I have no excuses for Richard. You could ask him that and ask him why he does that. I have no problem with it. I trust him to the deepest of my heart because it's working. Now, when it comes to the actual research, I would actually suggest not to always depend on just one person or one thing. Unfortunately, you don't know that there's a community, but we have multiple sources for you to go ahead and research what you want about Hex. Obviously, the number one source I would suggest is go to etherscan.com. If you can't actually use that the way that it is, because it's very hard to understand. I would suggest go on the links, because the front page it's whatever, man. I have no comment. I don't want to like put down my team, but at the same time, it's like when you have the links page and you have the choice of so many good YouTubers that have good videos for you to learn, plus there's links to so many websites that people have documents, just like myself. You can go on hextolearn.com. There's different aspects. There's cryptolearn.com, which is I have it's more for mobile onboarding, where people could go ahead and click links, and you get like documents that come up with so much information, plus it's translated in like 100 languages. So it's like you just need to know that kind of sucks, because everything's like that.
Yeah, I get that, but and I appreciate that answer, but you got to understand that like there have been hundreds of projects that talk as passionately about how groundbreaking their shit is, like you. They're just like all in. Look at our community. I almost feel like the more maxi you are, the more passionate, the least credible. Like this is someone like
I agree, because that's the classic. I agree. But okay, so let me sell it to you. Okay, you bring me another project that for over 1,000 days has done the same 100% uptime, 100% consistency, right? The word in business that everyone loves is consistency, consistent rewards, consistent product, whatever, product fit, whatever you want to call it. The consistency. Please find me another project that's done that in the crypto space. And that should literally convince you. That should literally convince you.
Has been working fine for more than 1,000 days.
And I don't know if it's been stress tested.
Okay, and how's the Uniswap token doing? How's the token doing? It's completely useless.
You didn't talk about the token. You talked about a project. Those are
no. The token itself has no utility. It's governance. It's strictly governance. The DApp is different, but that's a DApp, right? You have to give PulseX the chance to work, which PulseX actually gives so much more use to its actual token. One, because you will actually see it as a liquidity provided, so people will actually create liquidity pairs with PulseX. Also, there's a deflationary mechanism, where completely different than Uniswap, which was given as an airdrop to just be dumped forever. And like you don't see any pairs paired to Uniswap. It's not used as an incentive for people to go and trade and make fees. Ethereum is, USDC is, USDT is, DAI is, all these other things are, but Uni is complete scrap. It's completely, in my opinion, they fucked up. That's why Cake did 20 times better. That's why Cake went from pennies to $50 with 300 to 400% APY per year just on its automatic compounding or leaving it in there. If you manually compounded it, forget about it. And I don't want to actually get into that, because that's not here nor say, because it's gone, that option. But I'm just saying, like, there's so many other things out there. But Cake has admin keys, and one guy, I remember, he didn't wake up, and he fucked up the whole thing. He made everything go fucking bonkers because he forgot to wake up and go press the button. That's complete shit. Uniswap, yeah, it's been working completely, but what's the token been doing? No one wants it. No one needs it. It's the DApp that everyone needs. And even at that can be copied in 6 months when that V3 comes out. How many projects you think are going to copy that? The limit orders and all that stuff. So it's done. The V3 liquidity, it's going to get copied, just like a patent that expires. So I don't want to go on forever, bro, but like, it's just, this is how it is. And there's so many excuses I can give you, but at the end of the day, look at how it works. It's just the HEX token has one utility: interact with the contract. You don't have to approve shit. Everything on Uniswap, in order for you to make money on Uniswap, it's dependent on someone else doing something. You get a percentage of someone else. You can't stop that. That's how it works. But at the end of the day, you need that someone to do it. As to HEX, your yield is not dependent on Uniswap. You and the contract, dependent on how much supply there is, and that simple 3.69 divided by 364 daily inflation. It's very simple. Every day, of the total supply of HEX, you get 3.69 divided by 364. That's the daily inflation in percentage. And that's how much is able and up for grabs for people to get. And that's independent on your pool size or how much T-shares, quote unquote, you have. You get given a payout. And that's your reward. No one else gives it to you, just the contract. So it's you and the contract. Your neighbor, your friend, you don't need them to be in or out. No one can come in. I don't even need you to come in to HEX to continue my rewards. It's trustless. It's completely trustless. It's when people completely understand that aspect of HEX, they'll be like, holy shit, they're actually right. because like Uniswap or Cake, you have to put it in. You have to approve your coin. You have to give it to them. You're completely doing the opposite of why you hold crypto. You're saying, oh, okay, here, take my tokens and then make me money. And then, okay, give it back to me, please. Did you know that AutoFarm was using the Cake and Venus protocol on Binance? And once upon a time, they dicked users because they actually were paying out too much. So their protocol, which has admin keys, was able to retract and take money out when people were trying to pull out. That's insane. And then that's what's on Binance. That's what's being, Venus is dead now, but that's what was being, stuffed in people's faces. Aave works perfectly. I have nothing to say about Aave. But Uniswap, the coin sucks, bro. That's my opinion. That's my straight opinion.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
No problem, bro.
All I'm saying, and I maintain, we have so many options, and this one immediately fails my sniff test. And I'm unsophisticated. But
well, if you want to take the
like,
time, and we'll do it together, man. Come on the spaces, follow me. When I'm in spaces, you will take, because I'm on spaces 24/7, just like I'm literally here 24/7. I have the whole community. We talk, we discuss, we check options, we look at all this stuff, and we try to be positive because honestly, this bear market for hexagons has been very positive, and it's not because it's a scam. So if you want to come in and test everything out on your sniff test, we can do this for 2-3 hours, man. It's my pleasure. Because if you're calling it, if you think it's a scam, you're wrong. You're honestly wrong because unfortunately you're judging a book by its
That's
cover.
exactly what a scammer would say.
No, not really, man. If you, I actually have experience. I have
it.
experience in the banking industry. I've owned my own business. I currently own my own business. I'm in real estate. I've left Canada. I'm in Portugal currently. So I'm trying to use and my experience in all those aspects to go ahead and help people, or I call them Kryptonians, to go ahead and use their crypto for their life purposes. And there's, a scammer would tell you just get in and check it out, but I'm going to show you on chain everything. Like I just don't understand what's scammy about it when it works. Why would you trust me? If I could show you the information and you can make your own decision, is that good enough?
That's a great point. I don't know, man. But thanks for the commentary. And thanks, Dave.
Let me ask this question. Let me ask this question for the people that are calling HEX a scam. This is not me. This is me playing devil's advocate, by the way. Have you researched or done any sort of research on HEX, or are you just judging it by just based on face value or whatever's been trending on social media?
To be clear, I'm not saying it's a scam. I'm saying if you go to the website, anyone, you should be able to be like, yikes! Like, why are they just leaving?
No. Off of the assumption, I agree with you. It does turn off a lot of people, and we get that.
Straight to the question, like, what have you done, Johnny? Have you done your research on HEX?
No, I'm hearing about HEX for the first time right now.
Okay,
and Richard,
I'm not promoting
so I went
HEX
to the
in
website.
any way. All I gotta say is, if you have not done your research on anything, you really can't call it a scam.
I didn't call it a scam.
No. I'm not saying you. I'm saying in general. Yeah. I'm talking to everybody who says that something is a scam. You need to do your research in order for you to go ahead and finally claim that, in your personal opinion, like, this shit is shady. Like, if you've done nothing, no research. Again, I'm not defending HEX here. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I hear it all the time on multiple projects that come out and people are like, yo, it's a scam. Well, how is it a scam? Well, it's a scam. Have you done your research? No.
David, what's devil's advocate the other way? If you could play devil's advocate the other way.
There's no other way in this conversation, though. There's really no. How can I say a Mercedes-Benz sucks if I've never driven it? It's like I hear this all the time. People are like, oh, I like Lamborghini more than Ferrari. Is it looks wise? Fine. Let's go by looks. Okay, if you're talking about aesthetics, fine. Have you driven it? Is it better? Because people say it's better. Well, better in what terms, though? My whole thing is that if you've done no research, if you've never taken a ride, if you've done nothing to that fact, how can you so easily just say something's a scam?
No, I'm saying you pull up to the lot and you see a jacked up Hummer that's bright pink with sirens on it. You're like, no thanks.
Yeah, but what if it drives good?
Yeah, well, I never find out because it doesn't smack. I'm like, whoa, I'm coming in here learning about hex.com. Go to the guy's website. He's all flashy with his Rolex. I go to the HEX's site, it's all pink and black, and all the charts are going up. I'm like, oh, this looks like every other single scam there is. So that's my question was, what does it mean to do your own research?
So I interviewed Richard, right? I have an open mind to everything when I sit down with like multiple people. Whether I didn't know Richard from a wall. I mean, I've known him in the space, but I've never talked to him. And the reason why he wears all his jewelry, and I'm sure I don't know how, and I was going to ask this to the community how they feel about that, but he goes in, he buys Prada, he takes videos, he's twerking, he's doing all these things, but he says something which hit, and it's true, right? So, and I'm going to give you another example of why it's true. Richard said he was a Bitcoin maxi. I'm sure James knows about this as well. He was a Bitcoin maxi, big time Bitcoiner. He hated everything, called everything shitcoin, by the way. He was totally Bitcoiner. Then he went and created Hex, right? He created Hex. Cool. And by the way, like, if you speak to him or you hear him speak long enough, you understand the man's intelligent. Now, I'm being serious. Like, he's an intelligent cat. He's not stupid. Nobody
See, one of
hears
the
him, though.
reasons
He's
people that
out-
try to debate him and fail is because of his intelligence.
Correct.
He knows the space better than most people, and they underestimate Richard because they just see Hex as a scam
Yeah.
and they just give out
They-
the usual talking
And they
points,
look at
and that just
James,
doesn't
they look at the videos, right? They look at all the things that he's doing. They're like, oh, he's an idiot, right? And then when they get into a room with him, they're like, oh, fuck, I didn't expect this, right? So my whole thing with him is that when I did that interview with him and I asked him, like, why are you rocking this? Like, why are you rocking all this, like, fucking fancy shit, right? Like, why are you rocking these Gucci suits, 30,000, all this stuff? He's like, well, nobody fucking notices me when, if I was wearing regular clothes, I wasn't talking like this, none of you people would notice me. None of you people would hear me screaming that Bitcoin's going to this price or Bitcoin's going, like, you would not give me any airtime. But apparently, if I go ahead and buy all this fancy shit, if I buy, the world's, most expensive diamond and expensive car, whatever that Richard puts out there, you guys listen, right? Whether you like him or not, you guys tune in because he's doing something that is either making you laugh or it's irritating you, and both make people tune in. It's the same as right now we're having a really good conversation in this community, yet, this is what's coming through my DMs. People don't understand why people are in Mario's room. Because when you report on sensationalism, and you go ahead and report on just random shit, right? People are going to be attracted to that. Like if I right now tweet out Gemini is going bankrupt, people, it's not true. And that's what's happening. So again, you have, for me personally, when I do my research, I try to go ahead and have all the facts laid out, and then I make my personal opinion. I don't judge the person. We don't know who Satoshi is. No disrespect. I love Bitcoin, but we don't know who he or she is. Them, we don't know who they are. The fucking white paper is ugly as hell. It's iconic now, but it was just fucking plain. I'm looking at it right now. It's in my office. Just plain. So I just think, like, at the end of the day, you shouldn't judge so quickly. You should go ahead and
I want to ask Johnny something. Okay, so Johnny, so then do you trust Ethereum?
Yeah, listen, like I said,
No, I'm done. Just a question, just yes or no. By the way that you just came up and asked me that, and I have no problem with that. It's a very good question. Do you trust Ethereum?
Here's the thing. Generally, yes, but here's the other thing: is like you can be the most reputable, looking thing and be a total scam, as we've all learned, right? So we have to. That's why my sincere question is like, what does it mean to do your own research? People say that all the time. Right?
Hold on.
I trust Ethereum.
I'll give you the mic right back. I just don't want to lose this. You guys, how many times have we seen fucking Vitalik running around? If based on looks,
and he does, and what he does, because he dumps the price, right? It says his name, Vitalik Buterin. I'll call him Buterin.
I mean, he's
I hate this guy.
out. I don't really.
He cashed out 3 days ago. What? To $3
million, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, why do I care about his?
No, but like just off that, isn't that like red flags?
Why?
Well,
Why would it be red flags for anybody? Like the guy
but
selling
it's his
3 months.
original ETH.
Yeah, but
It's
he's
the ETH that he was
but,
given. He's the founder. Look at him. He's a scrawny guy, weird
but hold on.
alien.
That's like saying like that's like saying like
But that's what
Elon
the
was
gentleman
supposed to
was
sell.
implying. Like, if you go see that, it's like, how do you get to the Ethereum Foundation website? You can't just,
No,
you get Etherscan.
all
Like,
I'm saying is that he dresses up like a bear and shit,
yeah.
and there's pictures of that. And like, all I'm saying is, if I was to judge a Vitalik based on him and his dressing, I don't know if I would be in Ethereum, right? My thing is also that Vitalik's allowed to go ahead and take out money. Like I don't know
Yeah.
the whole thing about, oh my God, he took out $3 million. Well, yeah, like he has to live, and if he lives on $3 million, God bless him. I don't care what he's. Yo, I am not checking anybody's fucking wallets.
100%. I'm just saying as an example what he said. It's just like a copy example. I'm just saying I have no problem with him either. I have no problem with anything. Crypto is a free for market. It's you do what you do, you have what you have, and that's it. As long as it's real, as long as it's you don't cheat me, as long as there's no admin keys, like we say, as long as it is what it is, then I'm fine with it. But at the end of the
You
day,
know, I'd
when
have
people
more of a
give
problem if he dumped his Ethereum at the top of the bull market like Charlie Lee did with Litecoin. At least he's giving it to people, providing liquidity at a huge discount at these prices.
Yeah, but Charlie Lee was different, man. He just gave up. He was just like, I'm out. I'm sorry. Like, who knows what happened? Something in his life could have happened. Who knows? He
He dumped
politely
the
said,
top
I'm
on all
out.
these users, which I
Yeah,
think is
basically,
pretty messed up.
basically. But I'm sorry. Litecoin has been working flawlessly too. So I have no problem with Litecoin. He dumped it, so there's never ever dumping ever again from the founder. He did what he had to do, and now what it is, it's used everywhere. If anyone wanted to move any money in crypto, I don't know why you didn't use Litecoin. Litecoin was amazing. Every exchange offered it. There's so much available for Litecoin. You could just bing, 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 move the money at the cheapest price ever, 0.001 Litecoin, and that you would have had that every time, no problems asked. But no, people don't understand crypto. Like, you go in and out, but that's not even that. Nowadays, you shouldn't even be on an exchange. And we see that. Why? Well, because have you read the terms of service, the conditions of what they have? It's awful. It's awful. It's completely awful. You should only use it to put your $100 and take it out. Buy $100, take it out. Buy it, take it out, and that's it. So that's you negate your risks. That's what it should be used. An exchange is literally an onboarding. It's a fiat onboarding tool. You should just use it like that. If you want to gamble and you want to go to the casino, I think an exchange is better than the casino. Personal level. That's it. That's my only advice. It's, if you want to gamble, go on an exchange. Anything else,
Yeah,
if you want to secure your money,
that
you
Richard
can.
said was he predicted 69K top. The most crazy thing he probably said, well, no, not crazy. Most interesting thing he said was this cycle being about 100K top. I thought that was pretty groundbreaking.
Well, at 150, what happens is that you have to have Bitcoin on your sheet. At $150,000, it makes no sense for you not to have it on your. It would make sense up if you look at like the other tops, it was 16x. You look at it, the other one was like 103x. So if you look at this one, the last bear market was only because of litigation. It was only because everyone said you can't market crypto, you can't use crypto, and you can't buy crypto. The banks were like, fuck it. And that's why everyone got out. There was no reason to get out. That was the only reason. And then what happened? Oh, everything's back to normal. Okay. And then it went back up. And then it did its high, came back, and everything. But now when you look at it, I think we're bearish on anything. I think the price is because there's all these extra factors that are over leveraging and people losing their money, getting bankrupt, having to liquidate, seizures, all this Bitcoin, that if everything's tied to it, well, obviously it's going to go down if you dump it. But now we're at a point where it's much, much harder to dump 60. It's much easier to dump a 69 than a 15, thousand. So the percentages are different. And now when you look at it, I personally think we're headed for even lower. You still have the miners and you still have so much confiscated and you still have all these problems and inflation that I do not want to get into because I couldn't give a shit. It's just, I don't really care about the normal inflation. It's been like this my whole life. Like I'm not surprised. I've been lied to. We've been lied to our whole lives by every single type of bank / government / everything. And it's been like that forever, ever. Look at history. It's all a lie. Anyways, I don't want to get into that, but like, the truth is on the blockchain. And to the gentleman, Johnny,
So
the first thing you should do,
the
first thing you should do, Johnny, is go on etherscan.io, Go on the top right, click top ERC20 tokens, and tell me who's in the top 20. In the top 10. Tell me. Those are really good coins. I
So why
suggest
do
you
you
look at
think
it.
the SEC subpoenaed the Hexagon and Pulse Chain influencers last week?
Well, so I'm not a lawyer. We've spoken to a lawyer. People who have called their lawyer have spoken. And
So is it true or not? I thought that was actually false, but is it true or not that they got subpoenaed? Am I rugging?
No, he
No, you're here. Yeah, so
checking.
famous. You guys spoke to lawyers, right? You just said regarding the subpoenas.
I don't understand how they could have. They have right in their disclaimer that they do not pass the Howey test, so that should settle it.
I mean, the SEC lawyers will go ahead and tell you whether or not something passes a Howey test or not.
Yeah, I know. I found it amusing that their disclaimer does a big analysis of how it does not meet the Howey test. And here's the thing is like another thing that set off some false alarms or some alarms is I jokingly retweeted it and screenshotted their website saying this is definitely not a Ponzi. I have not gotten so much engagement in my life. Of people like, no, I'm on Hex, it's good. Like, whoa, like, relax.
Yeah, you'll get that with some very, very, very passionate communities for sure. David, have you seen?
And for that reason, I'm out. And it looks like once you brought up the legal stuff, he disappeared. So,
go ahead, Steve. What would you say, Steve? And then we'll give it to DeFi Daniel.
Have you seen? Well, I think this happened while we have been on here, but there's been a $11 billion lawsuit, not only filed against FTX, but a list of celebrities promoting FTX, including Tom Brady, Larry David, and Shaq. What?
It's just to throw in names. That's
really kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, this is like, if there better be a Curb episode based off of this shit. That's all I gotta say.
These ambassadors were hired as ambassadors. You know, how the hell do they know what the fuck is happening?
That's ridiculous.
That's just attorneys being attorneys. I don't get that. Tom Brady, I don't like Tom Brady because obviously, like, I'm a Giants fan and we own his ass. But like at the end of the day, like Tom Brady, if it comes out that Tom Brady knew all of this, I would be so fucking shocked. I'd quit Twitter. Like, I fucking quit it. That's it. I'd lock up shop. Fuck social media. I'm out. So hold on. I want to bring him back up about this whole subpoena thing. This is interesting. PH, you're on. So the question was about the subpoenas.
Hilarious. And I'm listening to it on my phone and I'm like, no. Anyway, so basically, I didn't speak to no lawyer, just for the record. So at the end of the day, what it is that they're asking for information. So if anyone ever got subpoenaed understands this, that you either choose to comply or you lawyer up, because at the end of the day, they have nothing on you. It says blatantly on the subpoena that they're not under investigation and that they would like to have everything and anything that they do because of who they are. So influencers, people that have been involved with Hex, that have done anything I'm pretty sure they're doing an investigation, but the people are not under investigation. They're doing an investigation, basically. And people could choose to not comply. People can choose to comply, but why would you go ahead and give all your information of crypto out like that, right? Because that's basically what they're asking. They're like, oh, give us all your wallets, everything that's happened, and we want to see what happened. And that to me is like, well, no, like, why are you doing that? Like, you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
That's an investigation.
Yeah,
that's a full-blown investigation.
It is a full-blown investigation, but they've done that to everyone. Anyone that gets big,
I don't think they have.
Yeah, they have. They think that what happened with FTX and whatever, in my opinion, they're probably investigating everything, and they're probably subpoenaing everyone. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything bad. If you want to actually look into it and be like, oh, that's bad, that's bad. So then tell me, why is there an investment trust called the HEX Investment Trust that was granted some 905C? I'm not an American. I'm sorry, I can't say what it is, but they were granted license to actually have that and be a security. So why would the government go ahead and give someone the opportunity legally to create a HEX investment trust? And now these guys that are promoting it themselves are getting subpoenaed. Now you think the coin is going down? You explain to me how that actually makes complete sense. There's an investment trust that has legally been formed and that is complied, and that the people were like, yeah, okay, cool. Now we recognize you. And now there's the SEC saying, oh, we're an investigation of HEX. It's the people, they're just trying to do an investigation for any reason. So what happens is that if someone actually comes out with a claim and it's substantial enough for them to say, oh shit, now we got to look into it. Well, they got to look into it. And the whole, the way it works is here's a subpoena. So I'm not a lawyer. You should ask your lawyer, but I'm pretty sure after experiences and actually my father being a lawyer and asking him about this too, it's just normal. It's just normal what's happening. It's not.
It's not normal.
I don't
It's
think
not
it's
normal.
normal.
If you for the SEC
is being
for the
targeted
SEC
by the
to
SEC
issue
for two reasons.
Cryptocurrency.
One is
It's not
the
normal.
yield
Guys,
product.
hold on, guys.
Well, so then you explain to me why
one at a
actual
time. Oh, hold on,
trust.
PH, you got the mic all. You've been on the mic, man. Hold on one second. I have no problem with you having the mic. Just I like to get other people to talk.
I understand. I'm sorry.
Who wanted to go and? Because I want to get back to the original topic, so I want to end this kind of. I'm gonna give it 5 more minutes, and then
I was just gonna say 2 sentences. It is not normal to be subpoenaed by the SEC. The SEC has to have some evidence of misconduct to even have a subpoena granted. So I mean, you can't downplay like, oh, everyone gets one. No,
well, but it's not every day that some coin gets in a HEX investment trust and there's an investment trust that gets formed and actually legally licensed. Like,
yeah.
So
fraudulent investment.
No. But how does that make sense?
Fraudulent investment trusts are all over.
Mm.
All over. The government granting you a license to do something, it's a huge bureaucracy. They stamp it. It goes through. That doesn't mean you're legit. That's all I'm saying. We can go back to the other.
But just getting subpoenaed doesn't mean that you're not legit neither. Everyone gets subpoenaed.
Now, everyone's not getting subpoenaed. That's the thing, right? Only a handful of tokens are. And my theory is because HEX offers yield, 1, and 2, HEX did mass mailings advertising HEX to U.S. households. So those are my theories why.
No, it wasn't HEX. It was that. If you actually want the truth on that, there's actually a Telegram group made by people themselves that have organized it themselves, that took their own money and that send the postcards themselves. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is because of that. But hex.com or HEX, the actual token, has no marketing team, has no office. There's no one you can go report to and say, hey, what are you guys doing? Why did you guys do this? No, there's nothing. We did everything. We did the NASCAR. We bought the diamond. We did all the press that we did.
Which is why he's going over the which is why the SEC is targeting the influencers.
No, 100%. I agree, but it's nothing. The coin is not going to get nothing. Nothing's wrong with the coin. Like, that's what people need to understand. People that have done something with it, like, obviously, if I could get in trouble for selling Coca-Cola on the streets. If I create a whole fucking business and all that shit, I'm going to get subpoenaed. You know what I mean? If I'm doing something bad, I'm going to get subpoenaed, or even worse, I'm going to get a letter of whatever the fuck it's called. So you have to understand that it's not the coin, it's the people, what they're doing. So yeah, there might be people out there that are using HEX bad and that are actually doing it wrong. Like because if people get paid, and I agree with you, if people get paid, not by HEX, by the way, by people themselves. So if someone's paying you to do something, you have a liability to do something. And then if you break the law, well, then you should be held responsible. And yes, they're probably going to go out for people for that. But that's the people. It has nothing to do with the coin, personally. If you want my opinion, I don't know why the coin is getting scrutiny off this. The individuals themselves should be targeted and if ever censored, because it's their fault, not the coin's fault. So why is there backlash on the coin? Doesn't make sense to me. If you want my opinion.
Okay. All right. Back to updates on FTX, SBF. It still seems like withdrawals are not able to be accessed from Gemini, but nobody's fudding because right now it's due to Apparently, it's due to Amazon Web Services and nothing to do with liquidity. I want to bring up Franklin, by the way. Franklin, who owns like 93,000 apes. I want to talk to him about what he's doing uh, by fucking liquidating the fucking floor. Yo, I gotta bring you up here, man. Bro, thank God I sold my ape, bro.
Hey, yeah, I
What are
got
you
your ape
doing?
now. I think
Yeah, what are you doing?
that 3D ape. Nobody wants to buy it. I've been flooring it.
Listen, I don't get attached.
Me neither.
I saw the market coming, and I was like, yo, I'm not stupid, man. I'm not staying here, bro.
Yeah, that was a smart sell by you. Now, are you going to come back in? Are you waiting for another dip?
I'm waiting for you to liquidate everybody. Like
I
it looks like you're just like you're gonna make the floor. What, are you trying to make the floor 10?
No. I mean, I would like to buy another one to get to 62. It's just I got a lot more flips to do now at this point. I wasn't expecting a lot of that momentum, up and down trading stuff for the past week and a half. So I was on the path to try to get 6-2. It didn't work out. So just got to start over. So the goal is to just keep acquiring apes, and I'll just keep trying my best to do that. In the meantime, there's different utilities for apes that I can earn money on just by sitting around. Obviously, portfolio value changes drastically with each ETH difference in floor price, so I'm aware of that. So it's a lot to think about, a lot to manage for an active trader like myself. But I wouldn't do anything that would, purposely strike fear and force people to exit. If they want to exit, they're free to list at the floor. If there nobody wants to buy at the floor,
Look, you see, that's what I'm
if nobody
talking
wants to buy at
about.
the floor, then it's going to go down. It is what it is.
But you're hurting everybody.
No, I don't think nobody should sell their ape because I am trading the apes. From the start, I really believe strongly in the project. Just the fact owning the ape, the rights you have to the image that comes with owning it, and the benefits to being in the club. You're one of the top 2 profile picture projects in terms of floor pricing. So I thought there was a lot more benefits to being in the club than buying it and staring at the floor price every hour.
Why don't you sell? Why don't you sell all your apes? Like hold one, the one that you have in your PFP.
Yeah, I mean, I've just from my intuition and just thinking and even asking people directly, I'm more known for the amount of apes that I have more than my profile picture. Although my profile picture is probably recognizable by now, it's cool to have that social status of having a lot of apes, no matter what the floor price of the apes are. If they're quadruple the price that they are now, that would be one of the top holders of a very, very expensive project. If they're going down 75%, it'll still be one of the top projects, and the space is still going to be as strong. And the amount of opportunities that come from being a large holder outweighs me just cashing out and sitting on a couch all day counting money. I mean, that's great, but it wouldn't affect my day-to-day life. So I'd rather be all in and having fun here on Twitter with all my apes than
Let me ask you a question, Franklin. If you sold all your apes, how much money would you get?
I don't know. Let's do the math together.
Give a number. Let's say if you sold them at 50.
If you do let's look at the chart. If you do 60 times 50, that's what 3,000 times 1,209. That's the price of Ethereum. So you do the math. 3,000 times 1,209. That's 3.6 million. Now, that number used to be 20 million in the full market.
Yeah, I get
but,
it.
Whether I had that much money or not, my life would not have changed. So I would still have a normal life. I don't need
Take
that much
money
I
and
don't
go
need that much
home,
money.
bro.
I don't need that much money at home. I'm already at home. Like I'm
I get it, but like take the money. It's still money. It's still you can take that money and put it into properties. Listen, this is not fun. This is just me and you having a conversation. But if I had them, I'd be buying land.
Yeah, I mean, I can still buy land
I'm gonna do a Kanye West right now. America's for sale.
I can still buy land with money out. Like I could sell, one ape and buy land and just live off that land. It's if the apes turn out to be the worst investment from here on out, then I'll just write it down. I just think there's so much more potential here versus
Buy and sell the dip, bro.
I can do that too. Yeah, I could have sold
Yeah,
at
he's
the top
doing that.
and then bought the dip.
Yeah, he should though, no, but he should take a little proportion of that 60 and like actually buy the bottom and then sell the next top, and then again, and you could flip and get as many as you want just for fun keeping, and you'll still have that profit.
Right.
That's
Franklin,
how
did you
this.
use that?
That's
Did
how
you
the
use?
NFT game works. It's really sad, but yeah, do it, man.
Did you use
You have to sell it.
Did you use FTX, Franklin?
I got FTX US, so I lost 5,000 on
Oh,
there
fuck.
last week. I deposited money through a credit card, just being a DJ trying to buy the dip. And when you do that, it locks your money up for 7 days. Whatever you trade with it, it still has to be $5,000 worth of value. You have to leave in there for 7 days before you can take it out. So unfortunately, the 7 days didn't run out as they were going bankrupt and shut the website down. I did have over 400,000 on there at one point on last Thursday. There was an ARB opportunity. The price of ETH over there was like $1,500, while the price of ETH everywhere else was like $1,330. So I went to Bendal, took out as much loans as I could think of, like 300 ETH, sent it to FTX, sold it, got about 400,000, sent it back, well, over 400,000. Then I did a test transaction first. I didn't start with that much money, but I sent maybe like 40 or 50 ETH over, and they accepted deposit, and then I flipped it. They accepted withdrawal of the USD coin, where I would come over back here and buy the ETH for cheaper. So once they did that, I was like, okay, they're allowing withdrawal. So I did it with a large sum of money. I got pinged by a little bit on Nansen. Nansen tagged me, and they had a picture of my withdrawal, and I was like, oh my gosh, everybody's seeing pull out of FTX US. But at the time, the withdrawals were allowed, so I didn't think it was a big deal. But it was great timing because later that day, they had an alert that said they were going to pause trading. And then the next day, they just shut the website down, especially during the hack. But yeah, I got away with, if that were to happen and I lost that much money, I would have had to sell maybe 8-9 apes to make up for it. So that was very, very risky situation. I wouldn't recommend anybody try that for any other centralized exchange at the moment with all the drama that's going on. So that's
My
my
birthday's
FTX.
on the 25th. If you want to go ahead and send me an ape, I appreciate it. DeFi Daniel has, I guess, a question or something to say. What's going on? You've been holding your hand forever.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so I was got a question for Franklin, I guess. Do you do you think that through fungibility of a token, it's more of a path to achieve this fungibility of the token? In this case, like the Bored Apes, they all started at the same price. Then the market kind of took them around, and now, like today, if you were to ask me what's the price, like average price of a Bored Ape, I wouldn't have a clue. I don't know if it's 10 ETH or 100 ETH or 50 or 200. The price, not so much the volatility, but the price per ape is varies so much that it's like, you started with a big bang and now you have all these galaxies everywhere, right? It's so the distance in pricing between one ape and the other ape could be as close as it is or as far as it is. So almost seems like, Bored Apes, and yeah, I'm gonna say just Bored Apes because you're here. The fungibility of that token, of that project, is kind of, reaching out a peak. So I don't know. It's a boring question. It's not related to prize or money or how much money you have in your bank account. But do you think like Bored Apes are reaching that peak fungibility?
So like in terms of now they're looked at as just a like a money, like a basically a store of value in term, they're all basically worth the same. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
No, it's the opposite, right? It's not worth the same, right? So basically you have your Bored Ape as your PFP. That brings you value to you, right? And it may not be related to the value of the PFP itself,
Yeah, exactly. So each person has different use cases for their ape, and that's the whole point of it from the beginning. Once you own the ape, which is only verifiable by the blockchain, doesn't matter what you're saying on Twitter or anything else. You can just go look at the blockchain and maybe there's a way to prove that it's your wallet. But the owner of the wallet owns that ape. They can do whatever they want to with the art. They have full commercial rights. So some people might view it as a store of value, like I was saying, and they just all they care is about is the floor price. So if the floor price goes up 10%, their unrealized gains are 10%. So they might just look at it as investment. Other people really, embrace the artwork behind it. Like for me, for example, I'm not an artist, so I could not have drawn something that looks like this and made money from that image commercially, but I can do it with my ape. So it gave somebody like a random, engineer like me a chance to do what the artist can do here in the space and license my NFT out and make some money, with other utilities. So that's what I had liked about this, and that sort of goes to your point where, not everybody's going to be, I think it goes both ways. Not all 6,000 plus owners are going to list their apes for sales right now and expect to cash out, but thousands of them are probably never going to want to sell because it means so much to them.
Okay. Yeah, no, good answer. And just quick question, final one. Without looking at the price, could you tell me what's the average price of an ape and what's the floor right now?
I think the floor is around 60 or 61 ETH. Average price, most trades happen at the floor. So, if you just take a slice of time, you would just take the average. You would take the average, if you take the floor price every day, just take the average of those days, and that would be the average over a certain period of time. So
I did say average. I probably meant median, but
yeah. So it's hung around the 60s and 70s for the majority of the past 5-6 months. It briefly went up to maybe 80s and 90s in the very, very early summertime, right after the huge crash. So it kind of yo-yoed back and forth, but settling in the 60s and 70s is where it's been the most. And now recently it dipped to the high to low 50s, high 40s, and now it's back at like 60.
Which is still an insane price, right? So yeah, kudos to you guys for
thanks
for catching those apes.
All right, we're gonna reset the room. Franklin, listen, I just wanted to get up. I wanted to get you up here and talk about what you were doing on there, which was insane. But man, congratulations. I don't know how many apes you're going for, but God bless you, man.
Thank you. We'll see how it goes.
I'm just happy that I fucking sold it. Listen, I'm gonna get one back, but like I'm just happy I sold it where I sold it.
Yeah, of course.
He tried to buy it from me, and I was like, hell no. Being
well, I got it now.
He offered me like 2.5 Ethereum for my ape, so I was like, nah, we ain't doing business, man.
I got it now, so I can be David Light if I want to. But see, I have my own ape that I can mess around with, so I don't want to mess and do that to other people.
I appreciate it, man. You have a good one, man. You're always welcome back, bro.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care, brother. Okay, so going back to SBF and FTX, I'm just looking for more news. I'm sure more news is going to... It's so boring to fucking keep covering this shit. It's not boring, but it's boring. I don't know. Hey, DeFi Daniel.
Hey, dude. While you look for news, I was I requested for the mic because the conversation was about HEX and Richard and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna be repeating that cycle, with HEX and Richard. I think we fail to recognize that individuals that speak like him, and we fail to recognize the signs of their egos and narcissism, and we take that in our individual search for to prove our bags. Let's say we're thinking we're our bags instead of our brains. We fail to recognize that, and we take it as a person that is very solid. He's got his mindset and he's secure. But in this case, I think Richard, I don't know him personally, but he does have those signatures of what we just saw with Sam and some of the other ones that were left behind. I don't know. I don't know what you think. I mean, I don't want to put you in the spot, because
I don't care. I'll say it.
well,
Like what I think about Richard. I think he's a highly intelligent person.
yeah, for sure,
Uh,
for sure.
I fully I haven't dived deep into Hex. I just know that the community's super strong and they
No, that's
believe in
fine. Yeah.
this shit. It reminds me of other projects, and I don't want to jinx Hex in any way, but there are other projects that had the same belief and they went off of a cliff. But this is
And I'm
if
not.
he was, you know, what? Like the other projects didn't have a former Bitcoin like Maxi, like who was dead set on Bitcoin, because that's what Richard was. He was like dead set on Bitcoin. He thought everything else was trash. And then one day he just like said, you know what, I can make something better. And so
Mm,
to me, it's I kind of sit back and I get what you're saying. I totally fucking understand with the whole, Sam issue here and the Alex Machenskis and all these people that come out here and they sound smart and then the next day you can't withdraw shit.
and
But
yeah,
I just I don't know.
and
Maybe I'll have a shit on my face for saying that I think that like he's trying to go ahead and do good. Uh, Maybe 6 months down the line, somebody's going to play this recording and say, "Remember, David, you said that Richard Hart was doing good, and look what happened." But I don't know. There's something about him, and it's not. He's not. He's not selling you on anything. Like I know sales, and when somebody's doing reverse psychology on you too to sell something, he's
no,
just like he's flamboyant. Like he's rocking all this jewelry. He got Gucci's on. Like he got all these things on, and it's just like I guess from our perspective, if you want to look at it from a different angle, you might think, okay,
oh no,
this guy's a fucking lunatic. Like,
no, no. So his personal, his way of clothing and all that has nothing to do with it.
but that was my thing. When I
Yeah.
saw him doing all the twerks, I'm like, yo, what is this? But
So,
then when he started, like when we had a conversation, it was more like,
mm,
okay, this guy is not stupid. Like this guy is.
yeah, he's not. No, he's not. He's not stupid at all. And so okay, so yeah, I take a few of your comments here. Let me see if I can rewind a little bit. And so decentralization and be your own bank, it's also for the rich. It's not just for us, the plebs. It's for the rich. So yeah, I mean, it's fine. You're gonna see people like, I don't know, I just bought a mansion in whatever, in the Hamptons, and I am all for Uniswap. Yeah, that's fine. Decentralization is for everyone, not just us, the plebs. So to me, yeah, him like showing his clothing and whatever, it doesn't bother me. I think it's funny. I willing to be dressed like that, but that's besides the point. I really think is that I guess what I'm trying to say is just we need to be more careful, right?
100%. Like yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like I don't trust anybody. How
mm,
about that? I just don't trust
yeah,
anybody just because of all the events that have taken place with Celsius and fucking Voyager and obviously now FTX. I mean, how can you go ahead and like trust anybody? You just can't. Listen, this might not be any. This might offend people. I don't trust CZ. I don't.
yeah,
Uh,
David, speaking of CZ, he could be in a bit of trouble here. The the next chairman of the House Financial Service Committee, has just said he wants to investigate CZ's role in the downfall of FTX at the next congressional hearing coming up in December.
well, think about
It,
that. Think about that, James. Like, I don't know if you've been in my spaces and heard like what I've been saying about feeling like this is a conspiracy theory.
mm,
Like,
this
people
confirms it,
could
right?
say it,
Why
but
aren't
it's
they looking
not.
into Sam and FTX and
That's
blaming
what
it
I'm
on
saying. Like,
CZ?
why
It
is
just
it
shows he
all?
has a lot of friends.
Why is it his? Like,
yeah,
why is it CZ's fault? Like, why is this all?
exactly.
Everything is like being pushed onto everybody else, but Sam is like he's
No,
sitting there playing World of Warcrafts while everybody else is being smashed.
yeah.
I didn't buy into the conspiracy, but this pretty much confirms it.
So I'm not, we should also never get for as much as like, it's not that I don't trust completely CZ, but I just, I don't know. Like there's something about he gives me that Jeff Bezos type of crazy or the Alibaba guy kind of way of being. But that's okay. That's just my personal opinion. I haven't had any issues with Binance. I haven't had any issues with him. I know issues, right? So it's just kind of like that weird thing that you pick up, and I'm actually pretty good at reading people. But that's beside the point. So we shouldn't really be like clapping for this House committee. He can eat a bag of dicks if, for all I care, you know. Like, where were you before all this? And I do play with this theory that David has, that this is a whole conspiracy. I think they put some what do you call useful idiots, right? That's kind of like the phrase. I don't want to call them idiots because they're not idiots, but useful people in place to prop and drop the market to basically destroyed us. And while we're down, we're going to see all these subpoenas coming in and basically destroying with whatever's just left, you know. Obviously,
And I think that's actually a good thing, though. I think we're actually going to start seeing the light of day of what truly is occurring behind these scenes that right now everybody's just speculating about.
well,
We don't really know the true things that are going on. But, you know, back to Johnny's point that he was asking
hold on.
earlier about
I don't
how do
think
you
it's a good thing, though. I think that's kind of like that phrased incorrectly. I don't think this is a good thing. Is it really
well,
a bad
maybe it
thing?
is phrased a little correct. It's not a good thing as a whole, but I think from understanding,
I think
from us
maybe,
being able to get facts and
yeah, maybe
understanding
good.
behind the actual investigation is either going to
Okay,
alleviate our concerns or
yeah,
it's going to increase our concerns. But
okay,
we need someone to do that,
yeah,
and we're not going to be able to solve that just by Googling people and talking on Spaces.
okay. What you're saying is like good things will come out of this bad thing.
Exactly.
Okay,
Which
yeah,
kind of
this
goes
is
back
a
to what
fucking horrible thing.
Yeah, which kind of goes back to what Johnny was asking earlier. I think it was Johnny about what do we mean about doing our own research? Do your own research. It's you got to kind of take it in context of the same thing that you would have to research on if you're going to look to buy a house. Is it in the right school district, or what kind of car you want to buy, and so forth. You got to make yourself feel much more comfortable with making an educated decision on whether or not you want to participate within a certain crypto or a certain protocol and
Yeah.
so forth. So when we say do your own research, it's basically don't take our word for it. Here's what we've found out when we've done our search, but you've got to make yourself feel much more warm and fuzzy inside when you make a decision to get in or get out.
So if Congress is doing their own research on this whole situation, don't they have to ask the question, what was CZ's involvement, even without implicating it, right? Don't you have to know the answer to that?
Sure.
I think
for sure.
they will.
For sure.
So I don't think it's necessarily malicious or like pinning it on him. If you were doing a full and fair investigation, you must know what did CZ know and when did he know it, right?
The public is demanding answers, and we have a regulatory department and a group of people that have the power to ask these questions on our behalf. Now, whether they're going to be any good at it or not, I maybe probably not, because there's too many old people that just don't understand this space.
Well, they're going to get CZ. You can't subpoena CZ.
They're going to ask those questions, and for him to make sure he remains and saves face, I think he's going to welcome these questions. But if it gets down to you're coming after me and want to throw me in prison, then obviously he's going to make his own decisions. But he's the largest crypto exchange on the planet right now, and there's a lot of people looking at him for answers with more questions than we've got answers for. So we just got to give this time to spread out, right? We got to give them time to do this investigation.
Let's clear up something. Someone mentioned you can't subpoena CC. Is that because of their citizenship?
Yeah, you can't haul a non-citizen. You'd have to like extradite him just to question him. He may voluntarily, but that's not
okay.
Yeah, you could subpoena him. But it's a voluntary reaction whether he wants to participate or not.
Okay. That clarifies it. You can invite him to come over, but it's not like he'll be subpoenaed. Like legally, he has to be here.
The only people that are required to show up are people that are in our country.
Gotcha. Good.
MC, what's going on, man?
Hey, David, what's up, bro? No, I just when Famous was having some mic issues when y'all were talking about the hex subpoenas and the Howie test and stuff, I just wanted to shed some light on it. One of the influencers who streams every day, he was actually reading his subpoena on stream yesterday, and I just want to shed a little light. So basically, what they are looking to find out, as far as the information they're gathering, is whether or not these influencers are being paid by quote unquote hex, be it Richard or some sort of internal team or whatever. That's what they're trying to determine, because that could in a way find itself passing the Howie test, which obviously we know passing the Howie test isn't a good thing because that classifies your product as security. And then as far as the Howie test goes, so HEX actually does not pass the Howie test. So to be classified as security, I'm sure a bunch of y'all know this. So it's you are investing in a common enterprise, a common pool with the expectation of profit derived from the work solely of others. So HEX is an immutable code. It's a finished product. It's from the day it went live. It's never been edited. It's never been taken offline. Nothing's been changed. So it's just running. And the only way that you can generate your yield off of that is if you yourself interact with the code. You're not, buying HEX and staking it and depending on somebody behind the closed doors to do some magic to pump out your yield at the end of your stake. So it doesn't pass that Howie test there. And then also about subpoenas, as far as like serving CZ goes, we have a member of the Hex community. He has a class action suit actually against CoinMarketCap, which, if anybody doesn't know, is owned by CZ. I'm not sure exactly how, but he has control of CoinMarketCap, and we couldn't serve him obviously because he's a ghost. And a judge, somebody may have to fact check me on this, but I believe a judge granted permission for him to be served with that subpoena via Twitter. So again, like somebody was saying, I can't remember who it was. He obviously can choose to cooperate or not. Like, what are they going to do? But yeah, and then also as far as Richard goes, with the flashy clothing and the expensive watches, world's largest diamond. I think in his bio he says like 10 million in watches, 3 million in cars, whatever. Yeah, he's bragging. He refers to it as outrage marketing, and the reason why he pivoted to that is because for years, he was saying all the stuff that he's still saying today. Warning people about self custody or lack of self custody and not your keys, not your crypto, all that stuff. And people weren't listening to him. He wore conservative clothing, like, black blazer and, I mean, yeah, top hat, but, compared to what he wears now.
Wait, a top hat?
Yeah, in his old videos, he's wearing a top hat. But
all right, that's immediate scam. Immediate scam. Speaking of hats, David, what's with all these cowboy hats in your space?
All right. Okay, well, hold on one second if you can let me finish.
Sorry.
Yeah, so he wasn't getting any attention when, he's been saying the same stuff for years. And yes, he's been in the space for a long time. He started mining Bitcoin blocks in 2013. He was getting 50 Bitcoin in block rewards for each block that he mined, which is crazy. But yeah, people weren't listening to him. So what he noticed was that flashy people, flashing their shiny watches, their expensive cars, and talking like idiots were getting all the attention. And yes, it's working, but like somebody also was saying earlier in this space, that there are people that come in and they look at it and they go, "Oh my God, like fuck this guy. What is this? This is a joke."
He's created a persona so people will start listening to him, which is what David said earlier.
Right.
He created this
100%,
persona,
100%.
and he's living it, and now he's getting people's attention.
Yeah. So I mean, whether you love him or hate him, he's getting your attention, and at the end of the day, that's just what he's looking for is more engagement, and with the hopes of somebody actually stumbling on some of his streams or interviews or wherever, where he's warning people, not your keys, not your crypto, quit picking up pennies in front of freight trains. All this stuff that he says time and time again. And he's been saying it for years. And Johnny, so I'll tell you, like, full transparency. When I first started getting into crypto, I've only been in the space for a couple of years now. I can't even remember exactly when I got in. I got burned by a bunch of stuff, and I will say, obviously, I'm a imaginary person speaking to you through Twitter right now, but since I got into HEX, I have been staking and earning yield on those stakes. I think what a lot of people confuse with when they see, like the up to 40% APY is they think a lot of people, actually more than I initially thought, confuse that with actual return. Like they think that the yield, which
They think
is
it's
given,
fee generated. They think it's a fee that's generated that's re-given to us, which is actually not the case.
yeah, they think.
But can we ask
Go ahead,
Johnny?
Famous.
Johnny, when you said it looks like a scam, what? One, I understand you don't understand HEX, or else you would give us examples. But what makes it a scam? Because you're judging a book by its
Here, wait.
No, I am.
Famous. Let me finish real quick, and
Yeah,
then
go ahead.
and Johnny, if he can jump in with what he was going to say. So,
yeah, of course.
Long story short, when I first got into HEX, it was I don't know, like 30 something cents, and me and my buddies that had put our eyes on it and did some digging and looked around. We were looking at Etherscan. We were searching back at all Richard Hart stuff, seeing what people in the community were doing. We're like, all right, yeah, let's do it. So we jump in, when we're looking at ourselves, we're like, oh, we're never going to be able to get, like nice positions in this, in a, quote unquote, good bag. But what's actually happened is, and there are a lot of people out there, that guy that was screaming at Richard earlier and then rage quit that was in here earlier, he was saying he has friends that have lost money in HEX and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, it's a feature with any speculative asset, price volatility. Price goes up, price goes down. Take advantage of when that price goes down. Try to sell a little bit if you want when the price is as close to that cycle top as you think it's going to get, and rinse and repeat the process. So I'll tell you personally, I have way more HEX now because I've taken advantage of this feature, which is price volatility, because it is a speculative asset at the end of the day. I've taken advantage of it, and my position is way bigger than I ever thought it could have possibly been. And yes, it's the dollar value is not where it was, but I have faith in the product, and I believe that on this next swing up, it's going to do great things for me and all the other people that have been playing the game properly.
But that's always speculation. I really want to get down to it. MC, like, for me, I'm here, right? So, like, if you have any questions about the nitty gritty, because a scam has to be a scam because of the way it operates. It can't just be because of its price. The price has.
Can I ask you a question?
The price in crypto has to do with ratios. There's nothing actually backing any of these volatile coins. It's like you buy it with your fiat and then they give it to you. It's a peer-to-peer transaction. So there's nothing really behind crypto when it's on the blockchain. And exchanges are very.
Can I ask you a question?
But Johnny, I want to know exactly.
I was asked, like, what makes me think it's a scam. First of all, I don't know if it's a scam. My narrow point was, when you're seeing if something's a duck, the first thing is it looked like a duck. Okay, I go in there. Well, it looks like a scam. That was my very narrow point. And I asked, the broader question was like, how do you do your research? But I do have a question now, based off my experience since making a comment. Do you have in the chat, have you guys coordinated to say, hey, there's this room we need to get up on stage at Pump HEX? Is there a background Discord or Telegram where you're like, hey, we've got these tweets going around, like, or hey, let's go up. Gockstein is talking about it. There's a ton of people in this room. Let's go up and talk about it. Be honest with me. Are you guys having that conversation?
Like, is it program looking and searching for it? No.
No. Are you between you folks? Are you communicating with each other?
For myself, example, right? Like, I offer the possibility and created a community that runs a space 24/7 on Twitter for Hexicans. We call ourselves Hexicans. so Hexicans can come and discuss and talk about anything and so on and so forth. The Hex.com has a Telegram.
So are you answering a call? Are you answering
Absolutely
a call
not.
for?
I came in, Richard was in Mario's space. He left, came in this one. I knew exactly what I was doing because David allows people to come up. And to be honest with you, I'm fed up of Richard being alone. He's alone. He's not Hex. You have to understand that. Yes, he created it, but once he pressed create and deploy,
I'm just
no,
saying.
but you have to understand something. He has nothing against. There's no admin keys. He doesn't do anything for Hex but talk about it, just like the way I'm doing it right now.
That's fine.
And I'm not going to.
That's fine
because I've understood that crypto. I probably don't have as much crypto as Richard, but I don't want to spend it. Why would I sell my highest appreciating asset that I've ever been in my life? So, to me, that's different.
So,
but to answer that, like, we did not answer the call. So I came in. I know David allows people to come up. I've come up before, but I interrupted Richard because it's like, I don't want people to always listen to Richard. It's good to listen to Richard, but sometimes it's important to listen to the other voices in Hex because we're other examples. We're a life testimony of it. I'm not an OG, which means that I haven't been in Hex since day one. I've recently got into Hex, but I'm definitely an Ethereum OG, Aave OG, Cake OG. I've been on every single platform possible, and I'll outwit anyone except the devs because I read what the devs make. So the only person that technically knows more than me is the guy who created it. Let's just be honest. I've done my research. We could talk about any coin, and I would do that with pleasure, man. And I'm not going against you. It's just because it's a clear example right now of how if like just Richard step aside. Richard is amazing. He is able to answer any question, but at the same time, he's one testimony. And he's the founder. So like everyone scrutinizes him if he were to even say, it works for me. Like, I don't care. I hope Richard pays himself. I hope Richard bought his own coin and is doing whatever the fuck he wants to do with it. Excuse my language, because at the end of the day, that's his right. He did something. He has no more ties to it. There's no admin keys. It's thrown away. It is what it is forever. If the EVM system does not be utilized, then it dies unless someone forks it or copies the whole thing. That's a spade. But did I come up and get called? Yeah, I as a Hex community leader, I felt like it was my duty to come up and shed light, especially when that gentleman was talking shit, especially that he was talking complete lies. It's not fair to have to represent something when people are calling lies. In the real life, if that was business to business, I could have sued him because he's telling false information about my business, which could ruin my image. And we can't do that here because we're technically free. But in real life, that gentleman would have got sued. I would have sued his business for information.
So here's James. I have no argument with you. I have no argument. I was literally just narrowly
I
making.
agree with you.
But here's my follow up point though. Here's my follow up.
Man, and I'm not giving you.
Can I make a point?
Let him finish, Famo. Let him finish.
Me? Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
So here's my follow up point. My first narrow point was like, hey, educate me on how this isn't a scam because it looks like a scam because I know nothing about it. But my follow-up point is never in my life have I been bombarded by people like people are commenting like, oh, he can't figure out all the Hex support is accusing. Like I'm getting comments, people are coming on stage and bringing it back up. Like I'm just happy to move along, like interesting. I'll look more into it. But I feel this like attack that honestly feels objectively, no disrespect, like the kind of energy and passion that is also an indicator of a Ponzi scam. No offense, but that's what it feels like even more now because of this like beehive reaction. And I'm happy to let it lie. And I no disrespect, like we can move on.
Yeah, well, let me touch on that real quick. So, really what it is, I mean, and yes, obviously in any space, you'll find a bunch of passionate people like, look at Bitcoin, maxis and all that. You say one bad thing and you get a swarm of them. But I would say in the case of like Richard and Hex, there are a lot of people. I mean, probably 200,000 plus people that have been by this point that have been listening to him for a long time that, as far as I know, have benefited from his knowledge and from the product that he created. And genuinely, I think that a lot of people are just getting frustrated because he continues to be persecuted and, just put on the spot and people just keep hammering down on him when he's honestly, and now this is just my opinion. Obviously you can form whatever opinion you want. Honestly, I think he is just trying to help people and keep them from getting run over by that freight train And I think that just the majority of the community, maybe not the majority, but a lot of vocal people in the community are sick of it because he's been saying the same stuff for so long, and he's still just getting all this shit. And yeah, I like there are people out there that scream Ponzi, Ponzi, and they will until they are in the grave. But you know, you got to do your research. And I know beating a dead horse, do your own research. But once you can open up your mind and dig in a little bit, it benefits you. And look, even if you do that deep dive and you go, you know what, I don't think this is for me, then great. But like, no one's out there. I I'd say what separates the hex community somewhat, because some people do it, but the majority of us don't do it. What separates us from like the shit coins that have been out there that have come and gone is a lot of people are going out there and saying buy this shit, buy this shit, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. You look at our community, the majority of people that post, and they're saying, "Yep, unaffected. I'm just chilling over here, earning my yield on my stakes, just hanging out. No big deal." We're not now, there are some of them, I'm sure. I rarely see them, but I don't. They're not a bunch of people that are going out there saying, "Buy it, buy it, buy it. It's going to the moon. Buy it." It's mostly people that are just saying, "Hey, this has treated me well. I haven't gotten burned. There's no admin keys that can lock me out, and all of a sudden, oops, all my money's gone." It's just people talking about how it's a lot of testimonials. People just saying, "This has saved me. It's taught me discipline. It's incentivized my time," which is the main utility of hex is a time deposit. But I really don't see a lot of that. And I kind of just started rambling. I'm sorry, but if any of that makes sense, or if you have any other questions, what you got?
Can I add a question here too? And thanks for the commentary, MC. I think you're right, but it's good to say it, and it's also easy to say it, but it's very hard to define what is a shitcoin, what is that, and the DYOR, right? That's we use it so much, but I think Johnny was saying earlier